Hi everyone, welcome to the Mum Boss Method podcast. I'm Chrissy, I'm the Mum Boss, you know that though, and welcome to my special guest who's on part 2 of podcasts with me, Nicole Louise Winer. Hello.
Hello, happy to be here. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good, thank you. I wish the sun was shining a little bit more, but we roll
Mm.
with it. How are you?
I'm all right. I also wish the sun was shining more because I went on a dog walk at lunch and I had to put a coat on. Earlier in the week, it was so
I
sunny. So
know.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I
know.
agree.
Never mind. Never mind. Um, we're talking about a really big topic that actually comes up for both of our clients. So to remind you, if you haven't listened to my previous episode with Nicole, go back. I'll link that episode in the show notes. Nicole is my business coach and mentor. And you might be thinking, well, why have you got a business coach and mentor on your podcast, Chrissy? Actually, some of the stuff we talk about really, really aligns. And I know that time management, which is what we're talking about today, is a massive one for my audience. It comes up with my clients all the time. And I know that it's a huge thing for mums who are just in general life, even without fitness, health, weight loss, it's a massive topic. So Nicole is an expert in time management and she kindly offered to come and talk about it. Nicole, how often does this get mentioned in your client calls?
Oh, like almost every call. um, and there's so much about this that there is to share, which I know we're going to go into today. Time is a funny construct, isn't it? Like in terms of how we measure things and what we can do. And then there's productivity. And one of the things that I think could be really helpful to look at today together is about how this shows up for women in particular in relation to your cycle as well as
Mm-hmm.
your life, yeah, and what's going on there. And also I want to touch on some comparison stuff, so in terms of neurodiversity and how that shows up and looking at what other people are doing. And I mean, you know, this, I do this as well, and I think, oh my god, how do they do all of that? How are they pulling all of that off? How are they getting all of that done? How And actually this is about finding your own method. I want to be really clear on that it's not prescriptive, but there is a lot you can take away from this what you will, as opposed to thinking, oh, now if I'm not implementing this thing, I'm failing, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah, huge. And I love all of those things. And actually, I'm sure we had that conversation before where I think I said, how have you got all this sewn up? How do you do all of this? And then we ended up laughing about the fact that I'd said that. It was brilliant. Let's start then with, if we start quite broad around our mindset of time, around time, and our thinking of time, and time being this construct and how we maybe view it. What's your take on that?
Okay, so I love that question. And you know, you've been on masterclasses that I've done on this as well and heard me talk about it a lot. And let's go to mindset more broadly, as we said. So one of the things that I love, an accredited business coach with the ICF. I've studied psychology for 18 years. I know if you're watching the video of this, I look like a baby. I'll take that away in the good skin. But it has been a long time, and fascinated by human behavior. And one of the things that I love that came up in my BSc, and also when I did this at school as well, is around schema theory. So essentially what that is, it's around filtration systems that exist in your brain. So to give you an example and a practical, like bringing this together. So if you imagine yourself in a busy coffee shop, or a restaurant, and you're with a friend and you're having a chat and you're sitting across the table and you can hear your friend speaking to you, right? You can take in that conversation. What we're not taking in is everything else that's going on around us, what we're not deciding to focus on. So we're focusing on that conversation with the friend in front of us, that person, we're engrossed in that conversation. We can't hear somebody, someone else talking maybe on the table next to us, the coffee machine whirring, like when they do the milk to make the lattes and the cappuccinos. We might not be able to hear the coffee grinder going. We might not be able to hear somebody scraping a chair along the floor, getting up or sitting down, or something like that. The door opening and closing, the squeaky door, maybe there's a squeaky door. However, when we choose to focus on something, when something comes into our peripheral field, it's then what we remember. It's then what we can focus on. So even though you're not focusing on all of those things, I now want you to imagine that you're sitting there and somebody else has said your name. So you've heard the word, you've heard Chrissy, you've heard Nicole. They're not talking to you or about you. They don't even know you, but they've got another friend they're talking about maybe with regards to that. And all of a sudden you can hear their whole conversation and you can't switch it off. It's like a ticking clock, right? So when you could almost, someone says to you, oh, can you hear that clock ticking? And then you can't unhear the bloody clock. It's like this. And our brains are doing this all the time because they need to be efficient. So we can't remember everything that we take in, but we are taking it all in. We are taking it all in and we're choosing to filter it. So when we then come back to time, if you're telling yourself that you don't have enough time, you are going to be right, because the evidence that you're going to remember in terms of what is around you is that is true. Because another thing here, our brains like to be right. That's called self-confirmation bias. The first theory there I was talking about was called schema theory. And also it's important to know this from a self-awareness point of view. I mean, you might do this around time, you might do this around other things in your life as well. So for example, let's go to confidence. Like, I'm no good at that.
Yeah.
I'm not good at this. I'm not this health and fitness. I'm not very good at tracking my calories. I'm not very good at movement. I'm not great at that. I'm not great at managing my time. Time's never on my side. Time's always short. I've never got enough of it. I'm always the one who gets distracted. Okay, I'm not denying your reality. Yeah, that could be very true for you in the moment. However, what we then choose to focus on after that, and the evidence that we have, the things we remember, our brain wants to be right. It's self-confirmation bias. It's more efficient for our brains to be right than to look for things that are the opposite of that. Yeah. It's a survival mechanism. So if you're telling yourself around time, I don't have enough of it, there's never enough of that, time's never on my side, I'm always feeling like I'm in a rush, I never get through my to-do list, like, you are going to be right. You are right. What you tell yourself is right. So we need to find a way for you. And this might sound like so woo for people, but strategically, scientifically, this is proven as well. So if you're on the woo train, that's cool. I'm on it, but I'm not at the destination. I'm a bit there with moons and crystals. But it's not just about manifesting. It's not just about thinking, well, this is how I'd like it to be. It's then the science behind what your brain does with that information. So if you're telling yourself, I don't have enough time, versus actually time is on my side, in your day, when you look back at it, you're going to see evidence of when it was on your side. You're not just going to remember the evidence to prove yourself right of when it wasn't.
Yeah. And that, I love that you brought in so many other examples outside of time, because it's, think about the main reason people come to me. I don't want to be hungry. I don't want to be hungry on my diet. If you think you're going to be hungry, you will be hungry. And our brain capacity is so untapped. We don't understand that. But our thoughts, and I say this all the time, and you say this all the time, yes, thoughts feel real, but they aren't reality. They're thoughts. And so having that belief and starting with that belief, like starting your day with this, oh my God, I've got so much to do and I've got no time to do it. Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes. And without being, and I say this without attachment or judgment, please know this, but in every moment you get to choose what's a priority to you. So I get it. Life is busy. Like, I run a business. I also live on a farm this time of year. Thank God I'm not there today, but we lamb every year. Chrissy came to meet the lambs last week. And when I first set my business up, I was caring for my nan full time. I was running two businesses. I was, we are busy. I live at least an hour away from all my friends. None of my friends live close to me. So if I want to see them, I have to travel. Like, I get it when we're juggling all of the things. But in every moment, you get to choose what's important to you. And this is another important flip in mindset to make and switch, because I think a lot of the time, when people are talking about time, they're thinking, I'm not in control of this.
Yeah.
And I need you to know that you absolutely are. And you get to choose in every moment what is a priority. So yes, of course. I mean, you work with mums. So anyone listening, like, you're not going to choose to not feed your kids or neglect your children. And I'm not suggesting that for 1 second to do that. Like, please don't do that. But we also need to think about this more widely. And you're choosing to prioritize your children. And I know it doesn't always feel like that's a gift. I know that, but you do get to choose. You get to choose whether to batch create your meals, batch cook your meals. You get to choose whether to plan your meal prep for the week. You get to choose whether to work on a side hustle. You get to choose whether to go to the gym. You get to choose in every moment what you do with your time. Mm-hmm. And I know that I know this will be true for a lot of your clients as mums, is you feel like that's not in your control when you're a mum. You do.
Yeah. And actually, just as a woman, so I was on someone else's podcast this morning, and she asked me a question, which was, how do you manage to run a business, and before, when you worked in your corporate job at the same time, and you train 5 times a week, and you have a dog, and you have a child, and you have family commitments, how do you manage to do that? And the simple answer is, I understand the choices I get to make, and I understand what the priorities are.
Yeah.
I know at the end of the day how I want to feel, what is most important, but the how I want to feel makes it easier to put myself in those choices sometimes as well.
Yeah, and so much here as well is around boundaries. And we were talking before this, like what we were going to talk about a little bit today. And it's about, I know it's really hard, like in terms of sharing responsibilities in the household as well, as women, as mothers, and taking it all on. I mean, I was talking to a client this morning that said to me, oh my God, like I wanted to kill my husband. Like, he couldn't even go and buy the sandwiches for after school. Like, and then something came up, or she was like, okay, but actually what I need to do here is ask for help. I shouldn't have gone to buy them. I know that. So again, in that moment, you get to choose.
Yeah.
And you also, in that moment, get to choose to ask for help. And it's not a weakness to ask for help and to say, actually, do you know what? There isn't a badge of honor for doing everything. I'm not going to get a trophy. And literally, no one's giving you a trophy for doing everything. The trophy you will get is a big badge of burnout. Like, you're going to get, that's what's going to happen. You're going to run yourself into the ground. So again, choosing in those moments to prioritize yourself as well. What do I need? What do I need right now? And maybe that is to stick the kids in front of the TV for 5 minutes so you can breathe.
Yeah. Go lock yourself in the downstairs toilet and breathe.
Yeah.
I've got a client that does that. When the kids are arguing and driving her nuts, she will just tell them to stay in front of the TV, and she goes into the toilet and she gives herself 5 minutes. Because sometimes that's what you need.
And you know what? Like, I don't have children, but I do that. So I am ADHD, I'm neurodiverse, I'm recovering from social anxiety. So when things are too busy and I'm overstimulated, it's exactly what I do. I go and shut myself in a room, and I will lie down, or I will sit there and do a bit of breathing, or like yoga, I like a meditation. So it's also about finding what works for you in terms of energy. So a lot of the time with time management, it's not actually so much about practicalities, but about self-awareness of energy and how you are recharged. So as well as being ADHD and neurodiverse, I am also an introvert. So well, that's not true. I do get my energy from being around other people, but I can't be around people all of the time. So, and I'm very fortunate, I've set up a business that even on the days when I don't want to get out of bed, I get out of bed for my clients because they do energize me. And I love that. And, I have a business where I'm helping other people, and that makes me buzz and thrive as well. But you have to figure out what that looks like for you. So if your energy is recharged, so think about when you are feeling, and again, it's not to trigger anybody, but like if you're feeling incredibly stressed or overwhelmed in these moments where you just get frustrated and don't have the time, what do you feel like you need in that moment? Do you want to retreat inwards and just be by yourself? Do you want to be around other people? Do you want to share? Do you want to see a friend? Do you want to chat to someone on the phone? What is it that works for you? And noticing where you recharge, because with time, you can also choose where to spend that recharge time. And if you're choosing to spend it with, maybe because you're not self-aware right now, and I've done a lot of work on this, so I'm in a privileged position today to share this with you, like knowing where that recharge comes from. So you choose in those moments what to do, right? You know your triggers, you know what's going on for you, and you can say, actually, my need right now is to go and shut myself in the downstairs toilet. Is to go for a walk, to do a run, to literally run around the block as fast as I can for 5 minutes and get it out. Like, I know that could be one of Chrissy's happy places. That would not be one of mine. So, I think it's also important to notice that in terms of energy.
Yeah, I agree. And that, we're at the opposite ends of the scale of that, in that I'm an extrovert. And so people really energize me, but I need to recognize sometimes when I do need to pull back, or when I need to say, you know what, I need a change of scenery, and because I'm working at home on my own, it's just me and the dog. So I need a change of scenery, and I need to go and sit in a coffee shop for a couple of hours. And that's enough of a recharge for me to change, and that was a big thing for me, wasn't it? Saying to you, oh, but I feel like the 20 minutes it will take to get to the coffee shop and the 20 minutes it will take to get back is a waste of time. But changing my energy around it has made me so much more productive. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So having that for you is amazing. For me, if I was to feel overwhelmed, need to recharge and go to a coffee shop, I'd feel awful. So it's knowing what works for you. And it's also okay if what works for you doesn't work for people around you. No. So your friends, your family, your kids, right? They're going to have their preferences too. And it's about you and your self-awareness and what you need.
Yeah, for sure. Let's that leads nicely into then. So women, cycles, neurodiversity. And I guess there's something I want to start with, which is you don't have to do everything. So I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends, a lot of my clients, oh, I can't give that to him to do because he'll just do it wrong. No, you mean that he won't do it the way you would do it, but it'll get done. It's that delegating. When I first started working with you, one of the first things you got me to do was to think about getting a virtual assistant, which I did. And not all of my listeners will be in that position where they have to actually delegate work, but there will be delegation you can do within the family.
But also not just within the family. So hire a bloody cleaner if it's zapping your, I stress clean or hormone clean, literally 2 days before my period. I'll need everything to be tidy. And I'm like, where did that energy come from to do that? I'm tired. Oh yeah, wait, here it comes. But noticing if that doesn't bring you joy. I mean, my other half sister, she actually enjoys cleaning. I'm not that breed of person either. If you're not, and it zaps your energy, go back to energy, delegate that to somebody else, either in your household or hire a cleaner. I know, Chrissy, you've got cleaners that come in as well for you. And it's just in terms, so thinking, what else can I delegate? And it doesn't have to be in the family, and thinking outside of that, one school pickup a week, maybe someone else can do it.
Yeah. My favorite example is food shopping. So Yeah, an online food shop. Now, I do go into Aldi once a week, and it takes me 20 minutes after my Saturday gym session. But that is purely to get the protein products that me and Tom eat, so like the protein yogurts and stuff. But I have, since Charlie was born, I have done my shopping online. I very rarely go to a supermarket. And I know that people say, oh, but I like to see the fruit and veg, and I like to touch it and feel it and stuff like that. You know what? Me too. It's really nice to make sure that you're getting a decent not bunch of tomatoes, packet of tomatoes,
bunch of bananas.
bunch of bananas. But that is an hour, if you are working in a corporate 9 to 5 job, that is at least an hour, but more likely an hour and a half of your time on a Saturday or a Sunday. And if that's not time that you feel that you have, you don't even have to do it every week. Do it once every couple of weeks. Do an online shop just to save yourself some time. A lot of my clients use things like HelloFresh or Gusto or Mindful Chef, because for a couple of reasons, then they're getting different meals every week. They've got all the instructions, and there's no food waste, and it is delivered to their door.
I'm a huge fan of HelloFresh. I'm a convert. And I think the other thing there around time and energy is around decision fatigue. So as a mum, you will be making so many decisions for yourself, and well, probably not in this order, but other people than yourself. Let's go with that order. That's probably how it's showing up. So not having to make decisions about dinner because you've ordered the HelloFresh, right? Or you've ordered the Gusto, you've ordered the Mindful Chef or whatever it is. You don't have to make the choice. It's there. You've got to eat it. And so has everybody else. So, and to acknowledge, I know it's not always that straightforward with kids.
Yeah.
But you or your partner, right? You can have those meals. My best friend does this. She's had HelloFresh for years. She was trying to convert me onto it. She used to send me all the recipes, and I just ignored her. And I was like, no, I like to choose. I was that person. I like to walk around and pick what I'm having. I don't need to make all those bloody decisions. So she does it where her and her husband have the meals and the kids have something else. So if the kids want oven food or pasta with cheese, fine.
Yeah.
That's okay, but it's also then energy and refueling your body
and
noticing that. The other thing around neurodiversity that I want to touch on, so people say to me all the time, I mean, Chrissy said at the beginning of this, she said this to me before, like, how do you do everything? How do you do it? And this comes back to comparison with other people. So yes, you can be inspired by others, but I was talking to one of my clients yesterday who said, and she specializes in neurodiversity as a coach, and she said, like, her clients, and I mean, I am one of those people, not her client, but like somebody who has this, most neurotypical people would look at me and think, how the hell does she fit all of that in? She's multitasking, she does this, she does that. Let's acknowledge for a second, like, that's my happy place.
Yeah.
Not always. Sometimes I get really tired and have to go and nap. But the majority of the time when I'm in that flow and that creativity and that's happy, that's a joyful place for me. Yeah. For other people, that could be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I remember when all the stuff first started, kind of probably about 7 years ago, about you can't multitask. Multitasking doesn't exist. And I was thinking, I didn't realize I had ADHD then. I was like, what? I can.
Yeah.
And it's not really, I know it could be task switching, but it's not really. So it's again about acknowledging your own preferences and needs and how you buzz and how you're energized and what makes you feel good and also what drains you, and not comparing yourself to other people, because I notice I do not need to I make so many decisions. I mean, I have ongoing rhetoric in my head that runs at 100 miles an hour. Like, I even say sometimes when I'm asleep, because the dreams would suggest so. But with neurodiversity and being neurotypical, it's again different. And coming back to comparison for women, I think especially is a thing. Like, it's not as much for men, generally speaking. And thinking, okay, well, that person does do that. What could I take from that? But also, I don't really want to be her, or I don't want to be exactly like that, because you're not. You're you. You're wonderfully you. So be inspired by seeing other people that are smashing it. But remember also that you never know what's going on behind the scenes. So you may see me like showing up and doing all of those things, but then what I don't always share, and I'm open about it, but I don't always choose to share it online or wherever else, is that I nap in between that.
Yeah.
Or I need like my zone out activities so that I have, I'm distracted doing something else. But that's not going to be everyone's preferences. So when it comes to you and what you can fit in the day, when it comes to time management, day, week, month, acknowledge that, because it's a big shift in saying, do you know what? It's okay to do it my way.
Yeah.
And honoring your needs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Comparison really is the thief. I struggle with that word, of joy. It really is. And I had a conversation with a client yesterday, and she said, I feel like everyone else in the client group is smashing it, and I'm not. And but again, I'm privy to everyone else's goings on that they're not sharing with the whole group, because some of it is really personal. But again, progress to one is not the same progress to the next person. And one of my clients at the moment, one of her biggest wins over and over again is saying no. Just saying no to people and feeling really, really good about it. Just saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. That doesn't work at the moment. Because she's got so much on. She's studying, she's doing loads of stuff on top of her job, and she just has to say no.
Yeah. And again, choosing in the moment, you're in control. You are in control, and you get to choose. You get to choose what to say yes to. You get to choose what to say no to.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to just explore with you kind of what works for you in terms of like planning and preparation, because for a lot of my clients, a lot of them come to me and they're like, I don't want to be planned. I don't want to be super organized. I like living spontaneously. But there is definitely something, if I take it down to the very basic levels of food, there is definitely something in just knowing on Monday we're going to have stir fry, and on Tuesday we're going to have meatballs, and on Wednesday we're going to have sausages. And bringing in all that decision fatigue stuff that we've already talked about. But in terms of you and what works for you to get yourself organized with the things that you have to do, how do you do that personally? Because again, not comparing and not saying that anyone listening to this should do life as I do it, life as Nicole does it, but a lot of people need to take inspiration, try something, and work out how they can make it work for them.
Yeah, that's so true. And so to say, this isn't about having to do it this way, but definitely happy to share. So at the moment with my life, I am between two places. So I have a farm in Hertfordshire that I live on with my parents and the lambs, love them. And my partner's in Wiltshire, right? So it's 2 hours away. That's quite a commute. So again, coming back to like how this works for me, and I'm still kind of working this out really in that part, I need to plan that in advance. And I know that isn't necessarily the needs of everyone else around me. So to be able to say, yes, I can do that, or I'd like to be there. I mean, even with the vanity of this part, but this podcast recording, right? I needed to know where I was going to be, because this is a better recording environment for me.
Yeah.
Not just without lambs bowing outside the window, but also I've got soundproofing in here. I've got my mic here. I've got my setup here as I like it, right? So I need to be able to plan that, because that is my happy place. Knowing what's coming up pretty much, and this may, again, some people who want that flow and just in the moment, about 2 months in advance. Now, if I go to business, because I'm managing a business as well as the travel personally, clients, new clients, launches, all of that, I'm planned out till December.
Yeah.
Now, not specifically in terms of when I'm traveling between where or anything like that, but it's all in. I've done that. And again, come back to decision fatigue, where my brain is incredibly busy with my ADHD, and I'm always thinking, even if I'm doing something else, I'm always thinking, I don't have to make as many decisions because the decisions are already made. The problem with that, though, can be when the plan changes. So coming back to what we're talking about today in terms of time management, yes, I've planned it all in, but like it's changed again. Somebody cancelled, like, you know, they changed their mind. I had to move this, and now I am overcommitted and I can't do that. So there's definitely something there around understanding. And I do think, and again, new information, my opinion may change on this later, but today with the information I have, structure creates the freedom. Now, to which extent for you will be different. So for me, it needs to be about 2 months in advance. I have a Google Calendar that I put everything in. And I would say this to anybody that I'm supporting on time management: try to have everything in one place. Now, no judgment. I had a paper diary up until 2 years ago. So I would have all of my personal, because I'm a stationery whore. I love notebooks. I love writing things down. And I also love tech. So I would have all my business stuff, my meetings and stuff like that in my digital diary. But then everything else was in a personal diary, which was on paper. But trying to then look at your week and be like, where have you got space? You can't see it in one place.
No.
So if you are busy, and I mean this, if you're a mum and you've got, and I'm sure almost every mum, after school clubs, activities, swimming lessons, dance classes, gym, football, all of those things that you're trying to fit in, have a go, challenge, invitation to you from me about putting it all in one place if you don't already, and then looking at it and thinking, where's my space? That recharge space for whatever you want, that flow you need. Where is it? So I mean, my diary's, I've got 2 screens. My diary's up on this side now. I can look at my week this week and say, that's where I've got room. I can see that it's not full. If I look at a week where it's too full, I'll know in terms of boundaries what I need to say no to, rearrange, change, ask for help on, so that it's not overwhelming. And sometimes it is. Sometimes also in terms of acceptance, I'm like, I know that it is going to be overwhelming. Sometimes it is a lot, but that's okay. And it's not permanent, because then from that place, you could, I do this and I say, right, okay, so so let's go. I'm not today, but as an example, I'm feeling overwhelmed this week, right? I'm feeling overwhelmed. I've got so much to do. So let's go and have a look at my diary. I'm going to have a look at next week. Where's my space? Okay, what can I change? Next week, I can't really move anything, but how about the week after? So when you're then feeling like this is never ending, it's never going to change, one, you're putting yourself in control. You're looking at your priorities and what's important to you, and you're choosing. So you're saying, actually, I can't do that right now. I'm going to have to move that. Or that friend that you're going to meet for a coffee and you were going to drive half an hour, ask them to come around to yours.
Yeah.
Save yourself an hour commuting time. You're rushed with after school clubs. If you've got a school mum, you can ask to help that day, because you're and thinking outside the box in terms of what else that can be. But I mean, for me, I time block everything and it's all color coded. So like client stuff's in one color, different programs I have are in other colors so I can see them easily. Personal stuff's in one color, development stuff's in another color. Like it's all color coded, so I can clearly see as well like what's kind of happening that week, where my energy is going to be, where I'm going to be focusing. But I also need to have white space.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, nothing is in there at all. And also like coming back to that decision fatigue. So if you know that you have to make a lot of decisions for your household, for yourself, for your partner, maybe they lean on you a lot for support as well, where can you ask for help? Outsource your cleaning, ask the kids to do some cleaning for pocket money, or I don't know if that's still a thing. Like it's definitely what my mum used to do, and I hate cleaning, so maybe don't do that. But also, and I mean, I've been wanting to write a post on this for ages. You're either usually, if you have a dishwasher, you're the person who moans about the dishwasher not being stacked properly, or you don't stack it properly. No judgment, but yeah, like again, does it actually matter? Like
No.
decisions, what we're choosing to focus on, staying in those moments of actually, because probably that's what you feel like you can control, and say, you know, I mean, my mum still does this with me, right? I won't tell you my exact age because it's a secret. It's not really, but I'm in my mid-30s, and she still says to me, "Oh my God, like, why did you put it in the dishwasher that way?" And I'm like, "You need to get a new hobby, hun. Like, I love you, but really, if you want to restack the dishwasher, I've done it once. You crack on." Like, and noticing that about yourself, because and I mean this with love, but a lot of mums are the nagger of the dishwasher, you know?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm the one that can't stack it. But yeah,
We are the same.
yeah,
But does it matter? Thinking I'm spending my energy on this, does it matter? Does it really matter?
yeah,
Like, and things like that have been a massive shift for me in terms of how I make it all work, and also noticing the way my brain works. As I said, ADHD and neurodiversity. I love to multitask. I go into hyper focus where I get so much done. Like a neurotypical person would dream of being able to do how much I do in an hour in a week. Like
yeah,
it is a happy place for me, but it's also why I need the space, because I need to go and lie down after
yeah,
and rest, or do something completely different and switch into another room, or go outside, or do something totally different. So if that is you and that is your happy place, acknowledge that, embrace that as well. So,
yeah,
you know, this happened to me when I was packing to come back here, actually, to Wiltshire last week. And as I was packing, I was doing something else, and I was doing something else, and I was doing something else. It was like this flow, this really weird kind of trancey flow state that I get into that is hyper focus. And as I said, most neurotypical people would find that incredibly overwhelming. And honestly, sometimes I do find it overwhelming, because you never really know if anything's finished, and you're thinking, did I finish that? Did I finish that? But knowing that about yourself and that self-awareness, take the time to get to know yourself, because I know that. So as I'm in the flow state, I was thinking, oh, it's flowy. This feels, just go with it. Don't think to yourself, oh, no, wait. I need to go back to doing the other thing. Go with it.
yeah. Go with what
Until you,
works.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Such a great point. I think the key takeaway from this is there is no one way to manage your time.
Mm,
It is about what works for you.
yeah.
And that starts with self-awareness and understanding the priorities and your values and where you want to get to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Sure.
like, so many people have asked me if I can bring it, because again, they look at what I do and like how much I fit in, and I'm using my hands for whatever these things are called.
Air quotes.
Air quotes, yeah. How much I fit in, and they're like, "Oh, could you let me know how to time block?" I've tried time blocking and it doesn't work. And I did a podcast episode on this that talks all about cycles as well for women and neurodiversity. And I can't write the course, because there is no one way. I
No.
could say to you to time block all of your so let's sit down on a Sunday night, write all your tasks down that you need to do for the week, everything in your head, time block them into your week, and just get on with it. That It's not always that simple, is it?
No, it's not.
So also stop looking for a framework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, for sure. Absolutely,
Yeah.
for sure. I love that. We've talked about so much.
We have.
Um, we're going to put a link to a freebie that you have in the show notes. Do you want to tell them about it?
Of course, thank you. So I created a guide that, gosh, about 3 years ago, and it's still so relevant. People say, I don't know how this is free. So maybe that's a sign that I should charge for it. And essentially, it's 5 ways to save time in your business. It could also apply to your life, but in your business that you've never heard before. And it's all around energy management. So there's some practical stuff in there around tracking your energy, what's going on for you. And I mean, this will be very relevant for a lot of your audience, I think, especially if they're business owners. So noticing, like, do you need caffeine to have energy? No judgment, but your metabolisms are different. So the way that that's processed in terms of when you get your energy, knowing what to do when, so that you feel productive with your own cycles and patterns. Yeah, so I will share a link to that in the show notes. It's free.
Yeah.
It gives you a little like mini course and check-in afterwards as well. You'll get some emails from
Nice.
me. 5 steps to save time in your business.
Love it. I love it. Thank you. And you can I will also put everyone all of your links in the show notes as well. You can find Nicole on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. She's in the places, and she's also got a podcast as well. So we'll put all of those links in the show notes. Nicole, thank you for your time. It's a pleasure, and thank you everyone for listening. You know what to do. Give us a love, give us the shares, give us the reviews, and I will see you next week. Thank you. Say bye, Nicole.
Bye for now.
See you later. Bye.